Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for today's Aspiring Speakers Lightning Talks. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Abby. I work with the Aspiring Speakers and around about 15 other communities that are all run by RecWorks, and they're all free for our members, unless we state otherwise, like if it's an unconference or something like that. So who are RecWorks? Well, we're a tech recruitment company with a massive difference. As a company, obviously, we're always on the lookout for more clients, and some of our best clients have actually come from community members who recommended RecWorks to their internal talent team. So if you're hiring for a new team or you're working for a company that is, we would love to hear from you. If you want to know more about what we can offer, just ping me a message on LinkedIn or Slack. My name is, as you see it on the screen, and I'll be more than happy to have a chat with you and we can take it from there. So what's the difference, I hear you ask? Well, also, we really do believe that recruitment can be a force for good in the industry beyond just placing people in jobs. We have a real focus on learning, mentoring, and personal development. And that is where our communities and events like this come into play. If people want to learn and others want to teach or share their knowledge, we are more than happy to connect to you through our communities and events. We see this as giving back to those we've worked with in the past, but also paying it forward to those we hope to work with in the future. Earlier this year, we made our 5,000th introduction through our Meet a Mentor program. We are really excited about that and looking forward to making even more introductions through that group. As I've already said, we love to give opportunities for people to connect, and this event today is part of that. Again, if you'd like to know more about any of our communities, get in touch with myself or Helen Lewis if you know her, and we can take it from there. Today, we have 5 amazing speakers for you, and I'm really excited to introduce our first speaker, Anjali. Over to you.
Right. Thanks, Abby. Thanks for the introduction. Hi, everyone. I'm Anjali. I'm currently working as an engineering manager at Beamery. Beamery is a scale-up, and we work in HR tech. So we also work in recruiting and trying to make recruiters' lives easier. I've been here for almost 2 years, and I would love to give a talk about a topic that's very, very close to my heart. And that's something for my last 10 years career in tech has been a major influence, bad or good, in different areas. So I would love to talk about imposter syndrome, and maybe some of you would relate with me. All right, before we begin, I'll ask a couple of questions, and with a show of hands, please let me know if you've ever experienced any of these. Have you ever moved to a new role and felt that everybody else around you is better than you? Anyone? Lovely. Has this made you feel like a fraudster just because the tech is new, domain is complex, or anything you touch is pretty new? Also, have you questioned yourself twice before speaking up at any meeting or brainstorming session with the team? Lovely. A lot of you raised your hands. If you haven't, we would need to talk later and I'll get some tips from you guys. But if you did, then you, my dear friend, may be a victim of something I'd like to call an imposter buddy, or imposter syndrome, or imposter phenomenon. And yet you're not alone. You're definitely not alone. There's a study that states 70% of people suffer from imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome, in a textbook dictionary language, can be termed as a psychological phenomenon where you battle with self-doubt and fear of failure. It's a very common thing in people who work in industries where you have high pressure jobs or very competitive environments like technology sector or finance sector, or in general, in today's world, every other industry. Studies have also found that on an average, 6 in 10 people in the tech industry suffer from imposter syndrome, especially when they move into a new role, new organization, or new project, or anything that's different from what they were actually used to do. This impacts their confidence level and also hampers their overall growth. So imposter syndrome is part of your daily lives, and it can be daunting. To make it less daunting, a world famous author, Maya Angelou, once talked about imposter syndrome and said, I've written 11 books in my life. They were all bestsellers. And each time I launch a book, I feel that, oh, this time they're going to know. She also battled with imposter syndrome and constantly doubted her accomplishments. And I'm sure a lot of you would have heard of Maya Angelou. If such an accomplished writer can be a victim, then it won't be wrong to say how easy it is to get affected by this phenomenon. It starts with a simple, thank God I got lucky. You're not lucky. Remember when I still remember when the first time I got promoted in one of the recent jobs, and I had this feeling that they probably made a mistake. I don't deserve to be here. And that feeling, that feeling of fraudulence and not having to be able to trust in myself made me doubt every single decision I made in that role. A lot of times in a meeting, I felt that other person may be taking a wrong decision, but I didn't get the courage to challenge that. I could not speak my mind and say there are different ways of doing it. Just couldn't speak up. And it took a lot of hard work in that role, a lot of time that I had to devote to my job, and a few months to gain the confidence for me to be able to speak up and challenge decisions and authorities. So much hard work went into just being able to ask, why are we doing this, instead of just blindly following whatever was told. So this is a very common thing, and it's in these tough times where you last couple of years seen COVID, there's war around us, there's economic depression, there's layoffs every now and then. 2023 was the layoff year. And in this time, it is very important that we address this constant feeling of incompleteness and failure openly. This is not a bad thing. We just do not acknowledge it openly in the environment. We do not make sure that people around us feel comfortable about talking to us, like being open with us, that they're feeling like an imposter, and some way we could be able to help them. I can proudly say today that I suffer from imposter syndrome, but I battle that every day. I try to make sure that it doesn't affect my my daily work. I do these things sometimes by when I wake up in the morning. I do two things. I say these two things to myself, and I'm not lying. I'm not reading it from somewhere else. I tell myself that you can do it and you deserve it. These are the two things I tell myself to reassure that whatever I have today is not just mere luck. Maybe being at the right place at the right time, and maybe a little bit of luck, but it's not entire luck. There was a lot of hard work that went into it. There's not one trick that I can tell you right now. There's not one mantra that I can give you that will make it go all away, but it's a never-ending feeling, which is why it needs a never-ending effort. It needs a daily effort where you stand up in the morning and tell yourself that you are here because you deserve to be here. There are going to be days where you would just want to give up and surrender. I agree to that. It happens, but it's fine as long as you want to wake up next day tomorrow and say that I'm ready to face my fears. I'm ready to be more confident. I'm ready to face the world. But one major thing that I follow and keep reminding myself about is, if you get a seat at the table, it's not mere luck. If you're at the table, you deserve it. You must have done something right to be there. Even if you feel that you're there because you're checking some diversity boxes somewhere, that's fine. Maybe you are, but you got the seat at the table. You have the chance, you have the platform to make a difference. Use it to your advantage. Make sure that you're using that platform to inspire others, and you're helping others. And more importantly, you're helping yourself. At the end, I would like to say I'm not perfect. None of us are. We just need to find a way to trust our imperfections daily. I'm sorry for quoting brand taglines, but here at the end of the session, I would like all of us to do a simple thing. Put your hand up, one hand up. Come on, guys. Yes, one hand on your heart. And like L'Oreal says in all their ads, say, I'm worth it.
Want it.
Perfect. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope this helps you. I hope you can join me in battling imposter syndrome. I would love to take any questions if there are any, and all the best.
Fantastic, Anjali. Thank you so much. I personally don't have a question, but just a comment of something I was reminded of when you were speaking was at the last lightning talks a couple of weeks ago. Adirin was speaking, and he has a phrase that he uses every morning, which is, I am going to make a difference today. So that he said that's how he starts his day. He gets up and he says, I'm going to make a difference today. And he gets us all to say it like you just have as well. And it's really encouraging to know that actually you can encourage yourself into being where you've been placed, as it were, can't you? There are definitely ways to say, okay, I might feel like I don't belong here, but I am here for a reason. I am in this position for a reason. So what can I do to bring something to the table that shows that it is worth my being here, as it were? I think that's really encouraging. Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, lovely. So next up we have Kiran. You should hopefully see a link in the chat to his slides. It will be the first thing that was put in there. So you should be able to see that if you want to see his slides to follow along with. They should
be sharing
be there.
screen anyway, so if
and he'll be sharing his screen anyway, so you'll see them this way too. But if you want the slides to take away, they're in the chat already for you. So go for it, Kiran.
all right. So thank you very much for giving me this wonderful opportunity to share something which I have always looking to share. Like I have been learned so many things from community, whether it is technical, cultural, or any other thing. And I have been always finding this kind of opportunity where I can give something back to the community, so we can sustain this sharing cycle and go as long as we can. So basically, I'm a game developer. I have more than 10 years of experience in developing different genre of game. I have developed a similar like Pokemon Go. I'm sure you must have heard about that game. And I'm not a developer, but I have developed similar kind of game in my career. So today I am here to share something about immersive technologies. So what it is, how we can use in our daily lives, how different sectors are using it to achieve their goals, and how it will shape our future. So I won't discuss much, but I will show what I want to share with you, so that you can not only hear me, but you can visualize what actually immersive technology is. So I'm just sharing. Hope you can see my screen. If not, please write in chat box so that I can restart. All right, so what is immersive technology? So immersive technologies is something like it will combine the world of digital and physical world. So what it is basically, so the immersive technologies gives you the experience of being immersed, or enable you to view, interact with, simulate object and environment. Meaning what, like if you are now sitting in front of me watching me, but what if you see something totally different in surrounding you, like you are seeing some cool thing floating around you, or somewhere you are now, maybe you are in someone in house, office, but if you imagine like you are sitting in sky, or maybe somewhere which you always wanted. So these technologies give you this experience to be immersed in totally different digital world. There are two kind of technologies where you will feel you are in the different technology, and second is you will bring the technology to the real life. That is augmented reality. I won't go deep into that topic in AR and VR, but since the immersive technology is a general word for these AR and VR technologies. So where are we using? You may wonder that this is technology, right? It's correct, but what is the use of these technologies and how it can be helpful for not as an individual, but as a business owner, as an organization, or how they can achieve their end goal. So basically, these are some scenarios, some sectors where people are using these technologies to give and to achieve their end goal. It may be in training, healthcare, traveling, and shopping. So these are not just there are so many, but these I have just collected this to share and to give you a brief idea about how they are using. So the first one is training. Here you can see the guy wants to drive, but since it's hazardous activity, it can put someone's life on stake if he do real and if he doesn't have any experience. So here, if we implement this technology, the trainee can feel like he is real in that environment, and it will help to gain his confidence in learning. Here you can see a person has wear a VR headset and he is managing a steering wheel. So this is when you view in his eye, you will see that there is no office, there is no people behind him, there is no chair behind or around him. When you see in his eye, you will see he is actually in the path where he is driving. So this VR technologies give organization to create an environment where they can provide effective training. So this is for training. This training can be anything. It can be something like this, something like a military, or something like some network configuration or anything. This is just an example of how training can be done in virtual reality environment. So again, this is a second application where it is VR technology is being using. So here you can see the patient is lying on the bed. The doctor is examining him or her. But the thing is here, if you can notice, the patient is not real, meaning that he can do more experiment on this virtual object, but he cannot do with same with real, real human as because there are so many things which restricts him doing this. But in order to learn something new, we have to get some experience. So to get this experience, these technologies can help you to understand what it is, how how particular thing can be learned in this immersive environment. So this healthcare, I have actually developed a couple of simulations for different sector, and from those I come to know that these are some of the most advancing technology, and these are the sectors which are adapting this new technology. So here, this next thing is travel and tourism. You may ever wonder that I want to go somewhere, but I don't know what it is and how to know particular thing about any location. For example, here in this slide, you can see the Paris guide. The Eiffel Tower is shown in three-dimensional area where when you just scan the brochure, you will see the interaction, meaning that flat paper become interactable, that become alive in your phone, in your application. So here augmented reality augmented reality increase the capability of real world. When you see something using the technology, it will add something on top of the object. Here the brochure is scanned, but when you view from the phone's camera, you will see the object is also being there, and if there are some interaction, you can see more information about a particular thing and get to know what it is. It may be not possible when you see directly from brochure or something which restrict to give more interaction, more experience. So again, here, these technologies is something like enhancing our daily lives, enhancing our productivity. Here, shopping is also one of the top sectors which are using these technologies to, see something in their house. Here, if you want to see how particular furniture item will look into your house, you can directly see with these technologies. So due to time constraint, I can't cover everything, but if you have any question, you can always reach me. I will be more than happy to, give you more information about how these technologies work. I think I I crossed the time. Sorry for that.
No worries, that's absolutely fine. Thank you so much, Kiran. Does anybody have any questions?
I had one, actually. I was just wondering, you mentioned training, healthcare, travel and tourism, and shopping. What do you think is the next one?
Well, I think today when weather is not good and we have something to buy which is essential or something which we need, but in future if we go like we don't have to go there, but today itself we can do that we can buy online and it get delivered in your house, but that have some limitation, like you cannot see all the details, you cannot interact with him. But I think in future it will be the era where you can manipulate everything you want, like in the real times you will feel like you are in the shopping mall, and you will add items in your cart, and you will see that you are at home, you will feel like your home is become a shopping mall. So that experience will make you immersed in digitalized world. So I believe the time is not so far where we and technology will create another word. The word is already, the word is already been decided. Like I'm sure you must have heard about metaverse. So which is the digital world created by human, but also with human, or the real activities people do reflect in that digital world.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
You have time? Okay.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting technology, but in terms of testing it, right? Because having a testing background, how are we approaching towards testing this immersive technology? I mean, when you do, will it be a physical testing, or it is considered as both? Again, it will be both the physical plus the digital and the software wise we are doing the testing. Will it both combine together in this case?
Well, in metaverse, because the metaverse is something which is actually associated with real world. For example, if you are from India and if you want to see and visit Taj Mahal, so Taj Mahal is actually a unique location in Agra, right? So in order to achieve that thing, you need to go there. I mean, in physically, you need to go there and understand what it is, right? But in the digital world, when you are in that world and you are creating metaverse, so the thing is, in metaverse you need to have those coordinate items into your system, although you don't need to be physically there, but you need some data from real world in order to make it virtual, and then eventually you can test it by involving yourself into the digital world and checking whether you are from, I mean, if you are from London and want to go to Agra, then you will see the route. The route is actually to the real world, like you will fly from London to Delhi, or from Delhi to Agra, or whatever, and then in the same activities needs to be done in metaverse, but it will be virtually, totally virtually, like you won't go out of your home, but you will be there in Delhi, in Agra, or in maybe middle of Taj Mahal.
Thank you so much, Kira. It was really interesting though.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So next up, we have Carly, who saved my bacon yesterday by agreeing to do a talk that she's been preparing. So good to work both ways. So go for it, Carly.
Sure. Hey, everybody. It's nice to see some new faces today. And that means that I am in a very good place to give this talk today as well. So, new first speakers here today. We've got people that are maybe thinking about it as well. And you might be sitting right now thinking, this is really scary. This is terrifying. Why did I agree to do this again? And this is exactly what this talk is about. I'm going to talk about why it's scary. And I'm going to talk about some of the benefits that I've had, because I've been on this speaker journey for probably about almost 3 years now, to help you see that it is definitely worth all the pain and all the stress that you're probably going through right now. Okay, so it is quiz time. Glossophobia. Does anybody know what this is? What this means? Or wants to hamper a guess? That is okay. Oh, we got a guess.
I like to guess. Is it right?
It is a fear.
Kind of stage fear.
Yeah, it's a fear of public speaking. Well done, you're right. So when I started quickly doing the research yesterday afternoon, because I started this talk yesterday afternoon, I came across an article from the Scotsman newspaper, and it was referencing a study by 23andMe, that are a genetics company. So this 2022 article was talking about that public speaking is actually the top 4. It's the 4th highest fear that Brits have. 23% of Brits admit to having a fear of public speaking, which I thought was actually pretty high for a fear. And the other thing, because they're a genetics company, was they were looking at the genetic markers that are associated with this fear. And apparently they identified 802 genetic markers that are associated with a fear of public speaking. So genetic factors like age, gender, ancestry, all these things can influence whether you have a fear of public speaking or not. And it's an okay fear to have. Now, I like to think about it this other way. So I will send a link out at the end, because this is a really good talk for you guys to have a watch. This is a talk by Deborah Frances White, and she talks about public speaking as a fear. And one of my favourite quotes from this talk is that she puts down the fear to be a natural evolutionary trait, because the fear of public speaking is essentially the fear of being eaten. So it's this idea that everyone's watching you, and therefore your natural fight or flight instinct is starting to kick in. So those things that we associate with nerves from public speaking, like your hands starting to shake, your voice starting to quiver, closing off your body language and trying to be as small as you can. That's all associated with the fact that for you as a presenter, you feel like a gazelle because your audience looks like lions that are about to eat you. So the problem I found is that you think at the start, you feel like a gazelle, and you're either always going to feel like a gazelle, or eventually you're going to feel like a lion. You're never going to be afraid again to speak. And that's not necessarily true. You will still have moments, as I still do, like 2 weeks ago when I had a big tech fail when I was doing a lightning talk, where you will still feel like a gazelle. And I tell you to cast that aside and keep going, because you want to be a lion. And being a lion, as I have found, has afforded me some great benefits to my career. And I'm going to tell you about 3 of them today, although there's a few more that I could probably rhyme off if I had to. So firstly, you might not think about it this way, but doing lightning talks, doing speaking engagements is actually a good way to network. You might think that's a weird thing to say because you are talking at people, but you're connecting with people that you might not necessarily connect with, either, in the hallway track at conferences, at meetups when you're grabbing a slice of pizza, even here today when you decide you want to connect with someone on LinkedIn after this because you like their talk. And this was a great benefit for me. So before I moved into developer advocacy, I worked in a bank for 10 years. So there was always loads of events going on. And it meant that because I worked in a large organization, what ended up happening was the majority of my connections within my career were actually within finance and investment banking. So when I started speaking, I started going to meetups and I started going to this group. I got to meet people from loads of different backgrounds working in different areas of technology. And that meant that I could learn some fantastic things and connect with some wonderful people as a result. The second thing, which you might not think about as well, but I think about in a slightly different way now, is the knowledge that you're going to gain. You might think, obviously, that if you're going to lightning talks, you're going to conferences, that you will see the other speakers, you'll hear their talks, and you'll be able to learn that way. But think about the process in which you'll build a longer talk, or even build a lightning talk. You'll probably start looking for resources to back up your argument. You'll probably look at resources to share, to build a deeper knowledge of the subject. And that's exactly what happened to me. So when I started covering agile topics because I was too scared to dive into coding topics and technical frameworks because I hadn't written a line of code for about 2 years, at least 2 years. It's probably closer to 3 now, I think about it. So this allowed me to dive back in a safe way, do all of the research that I needed ahead of the talk, and also get confident at not just writing code again, but also talking about technical things, which is really exciting. And then the third thing that you might not think about is the opportunities that it affords you. Through networking and connection, you can find out about other opportunities, but you're also building up skills. So I worked as a developer for 10 years in a bank. I did loads of different roles. I tried engineering manager. I tried all those. But through doing public speaking and through building a profile, I actually managed to get a job I absolutely adore. And I work as a developer advocate where speaking is part of my job. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if I decided to just stay on the savannah as a gazelle and I didn't strive to be a lion. So we've talked about those 3 benefits around knowledge, networking, and the opportunities that speaking can give you. And I am not going to lie, there are times even now where I still feel like a gazelle and I still feel like I'm going to be eaten by the crowd that I'm speaking to. But I love it and I enjoy it. So I suggest please do keep fighting through it with your speaking journey. I'm happy to answer any questions either here or afterwards. And with that, I'll hand back to Abby. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Carly. Does anybody have any questions?
I do have a question. Just
Sure.
Carly, thank you so much. I think you have touched upon the subject, which is fear for most of them, and one of them is myself as well. I fear a lot to speak out during events, and I really get stuck up, and then all what you did mention just comes up, and my voice gets trembling, and all this will happen with me. And sometimes it is really hard to put your thoughts on the table, to gather the exact words, or maybe to present what you really want to say. How do you cope? Or might be that you might have also faced the same thing. How did you work around it, that you need to ask a question, but you don't have the words, or you're not expressing it properly into that way? So how do you deal with those kind of situations?
That's a really good question. I did struggle with that. So I used to hate public speaking for several reasons, but one of the things I associated with it was when I first became more of a front-end focused engineer and I moved into practicing Scrum for the first time. Because I was the front-end engineer, I was normally doing the demos to clients every 2 weeks, and I had the exact same problems that you had. I was always shaking, my voice was going like this, even if it was on a call. And it was horrible. And I hated doing those things every 2 weeks, but it was normally me that got pushed for it. I've got some resources I can send for kind of general speaking tips, but the things that have worked for me and that helped with those situations as well is practice, even if it's just as small as writing down the 2 or 3 points you have to say and having those in front of you so that you remember to tick them all off as you're speaking. I found that imperative. And normally even I'll try and do a run through a couple of times. So this lightning talk today, I ran through it 3 times before I gave it. I think also think about the message that you want to convey and try and make sure that that's the point you get across and make it as snappy as possible. I'm a bit of a rambler as well when I'm not prepared. So I have the same problem as well. So I need to think about what my message is that I want to put across. So I would definitely recommend that. The third thing I'd say is keep practicing different talks, keep speaking, keep going to different forums and talking, because you'll still feel nervous. I mean, I still feel nervous right now because I'm speaking to a group of people, But the thing that's different is you will find tricks that work just for you. So it's probably not obvious, but I try and open my arms as wide as I can, because that makes me feel more comfortable. If I I used to sit with my arms like this, and that makes me feel nervous. And I know that makes me feel nervous. I'm now starting to shake when I'm doing it. So I try and keep my arms as open as I can. I try and kind of slow myself down, because I'm bad for going off at 90 miles an hour as well. And actually, the other thing you might not notice is I'm using a standing desk just now. That is really helpful for speaking. Standing versus sitting makes it way easier. So that would be the tips. But I'll send through a couple of articles as well for you in the chat.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I just want to say that I've been practicing not public speaking, but speaking, work, in doing presentation, demos, like you girls. And something that it helps me is finding people that I like how they talk, and trying to find, I will pretend being an actress for a meeting, and if I like the way someone pauses or someone uses like a keyword, I use it like a way to give me confidence.
Yeah, well, that's a great one. Like it's a learning experience. Nick ideas that work for other people, try them out. Absolutely. That's a great, thank you for sharing.
Yeah. I think I can see you've got your hand up, Anjali, but I do think we need to continue, because I do want to give obviously the others a chance to speak, but please do connect with Carly and she'll be able to chat with you further. She's more than happy to do that. I know I'm saying this on your behalf, but I know you are. So yeah, please do connect with Carly afterwards and she'll be able to answer any other questions you've got, definitely. So our next speaker, I'm also very excited to hear from, because BC is currently going through a course that we're running called Couch to Conference. So the idea is it's like Couch to 5K, but it's for public speaking. And this is, as far as I know, at least her first talk. So we're very excited to welcome you, BC. Over to you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Abby. A minute, please. Sharing the screen. Okay. Great. Hi, everybody. And yeah, this is my first lightning talk, so I have all the butterflies running here and there. But I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad to have the opportunity to share a bit of my experience. And I just want to share with the house what I've learned while I was a QA lead. 3 things. So a bit about me. I have my background in tech. I have a technical background in information technology, computer science, and my experience, which above 10 years now, has been in software development. At different times, I've taken up roles within the software development lifecycle. The only role I haven't taken is a software development engineer, someone who actually does the coding. But for every other role involved in the software development lifecycle, I have taken it up at one point or the other. And more recently, I am pivoting into a data-focused role that looking more into the data angle of things, and how how to draw insights and predictions from data. I love traveling, I love baking, and I was super excited when I saw Adriani's discussion regarding immersive technology, because I've also somehow I'm developing some interest in augmented reality. So that's just about me. And what I want to share is just a few insights into the QA lead role and what it takes to succeed based on my personal experience. So for me, the first thing is management buy-in is key. This is a quote by Joseph Juran, that the most important thing is for management to be involved. And if for any reason there is an absence of their sincere manifestation, little will happen below. So while I was leading the quality assurance team, I had different scenarios played out. I was in a role where I didn't have the management buy-in. When I say the management buy-in, they were not really interested in quality. They would rather have you push out products or push out solutions that have not been subjected to quality assurance practice and to test and, you know, to ensure that there are no failures. And it got a lot at me because of course, if there is no interest from the management, there's little or nothing I as a lead and even my team members can do about it. And of course, that led to a lot of failures in production, a lot of issues, a lot of customer attrition and all. So for me, management buy-in is key as for a QA lead role. You must ensure that the management is in and fully in, not just partially. Another thing they have to do is to ensure that everybody is involved. So management has to, once the management's buy-in is acquired or you have it, it definitely trickles down. So everybody sees it as something that it's a collective effort and everyone has to work towards it. And everybody has to ensure that, you know, quality is achieved before solutions are pushed out. Where the management doesn't, you know, have that, doesn't pass that message across, it gets really, really messy because, you know, people tend to just get away with different things without ensuring that quality is achieved. So the second thing I would like to you know, share is interpersonal skills must be top notch. So as a QA lead role, there would definitely be because of the QA function, quality assurance function, it's usually tagged as by the software developers in this case.
I've just lost your audio, BC. Oh no.
I think she got an internet problem because her video is also freezed.
Shall we, I'll send her a little message. If we move on for now to Joel, and then hopefully we can come back to BC's when she's got her internet sorted.
Sure.
Lovely. Fantastic. Thanks, Joel. And I'll message BC.
I'm on mute. Thank you, everyone. My name is Joel. I started off my career as a pharmacist, worked in sales for a couple of years, worked for Big Pharma, and eventually transitioned into tech. Currently, I'm a product manager working on a product that helps people track their growth on the job. And aside that, I've been dabbling in recruiting, internal and external recruitment as well. So I've done a couple of those. And then I also have a career coaching business. And today I would want to talk about discovering your true impact in the context of the world of work. So I founded my career coaching business after doing a lot of pro bono work. We coached, I think midway, we had coached about 200 people across the globe, like Ghana, Nigeria, Europe, you know, US, Canada, and all of that. And one major thing that we discovered was that there was a major misalignment between what candidates label as achievements and what employers value as should I say, achievements or add-ons. So we decided to distill this, we decided to build frameworks and all of that. And that's exactly what I'll be sharing today, where true impact lies in organizations, what employers label as achievements. So Yeah, so this is what every organization cares about, right? Major two things. First is profitability. The second thing is the mission. So whether it's a nonprofit or it's a for-profit organization, profitability being used here is in a particular context of making sure you're making enough money and you're reducing your costs, right? Just like anybody else who wants to retire early, we tell you, make sure you're investing so that you have a free cash flow, you are keeping your expenses on the low. The same thing happens with businesses. So these are the two paramount things that organizations care about, whether they are for profit or they are non-profit. The major thing that you find here is that there's a split between the two. So if it's a for-profit organization, then the focus is more on the mission. If it's a non-profit organization, for-profit, the focus is more on the profitability. If it's a not-profit organization, the focus is more on the mission. So let's break this down further. What does profitability look like? So it's either you're saving time, right, which is like basically efficiency. So improving efficiency is a function of money because we all say time is money, right? So being able to improve efficiency leads to profitability. Being able to reduce costs leads to profitability. And being able to increase revenue, which is quite obvious, leads to profitability. Now, breaking the cost further down, you'd realize that cost is a component of risk, right? And actual losses. So, I mean, if you lose your money, if let's say you had some money and you're walking by the road or you were in a bus and then you lost your wallet, that's basically a loss, right? But if, let's say, you decided to engage in some form of trading and you decided to choose a very, very risky portfolio, that's you taking a risk, right? And risk would always come with some cost component. And also in organizations, there's always the target to reduce their risk posture. So when they are working, whether they are looking at a recruitment team, whether they are looking at a sales team, whether they are looking at legal compliance, everything is really about, okay, how do we reduce risk? How do we protect our business? So the bottom line is that if you understand profitability in this context, then it becomes very easy for you as a professional to know how much value you're adding and the true impact that you are contributing in an organization. The next thing for mission is really achieving mission objectives. So for example, I was excited that Abby spoke about some mentor-mentee introductions that they made this year, right? Which is fantastic because it connects to the organization's mission. The organization's mission, that's RecWorks, is focused on building a community of people and eventually getting that community to unlock opportunities for people, whether it's jobs, whether it's promotions, whatever it is. That's what the community is for. So achieving mission objectives is quite key because then it contributes to the organization's growth, it contributes to the organization's profitability, the organization's mission, even leads to, you know, people wanting to affiliate with the organization. So what does this really mean? This is where your team sits in an organization. Well, I'm having a baggy diagram. This is where your team sits in an organization. So your team's work connects to profitability, and then it also connects to mission, irrespective of your team, right? And also, you would have you as an employee or professional having your work feeding into your team or other teams. So for example, let's say you are part of the recruitment team. You may be thinking, how do I contribute to profitability? Well, the way you contribute to profitability is ensuring that the right talents are in the organization, and those talents that come into the organization, let's say a software engineer, then builds the code that brings in the revenue for the company. So that way you are contributing to profitability through another team. And it's quite important that if you have this diagram in mind, at any point in time when we are making a decision, we are thinking about what would be of value to the organization or not. Profitability and mission would always be the end game. So you always have to map it out and ask yourself, okay, for this project or for this task that I'm doing, which team does it impact? And how does the work that the team is going to do impact profitability? So you go through this cycle over and over again till you are able to map things onto profitability. and that will give you a sense of direction. So to end with, what we decided to do was that we decided to distill some buckets, right, to help people in reflecting, to help people in understanding the kind of value that they are adding to organizations. And this is always a starting point. If you feel lost, you have to think about, okay, have I met or exceeded a target? Have I solved the problem, whether for a team? Have I solved the problem for a customer? Have I solved the problem for management? Have I improved something? Have I established a system to improve the way things work, to improve processes, to improve frameworks? Have I mentored an individual or a team? Have I led or contributed to a project? Because normally projects are built to solve a particular business objective. Have I set a record? Have I done something that nobody in the organization has ever done? Something positive, definitely. Have I worked beyond my scope of work to extend help to other teams to get them to meet their objectives? And then finally, have I achieved a reward, a recognition, or an award for the work that I've done? So these buckets will help you understand the true impact that you have in your organization. And this also works even outside the workplace. So I hope that this hacks would really help all of us as we go back to our work. We are able to align what we think as achievement to what organizations value as something that connects to profitability and then the mission. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Joel. Does anybody have any questions for Joel? No, all completely self-explanatory. We like this.
or totally confused.
Well,
I'll choose the former.
Yeah, choose the former. If you do have any questions for Joel again, I'm sure he's happy for you to get in touch and you can chat about anything you want to know. Yeah, I agree. Marina, great presentation. Thank you. And it looks like we do have BC back. Are you back? Yay!
Yes, I am. I sincerely apologize.
Oh, don't worry.
My connection broke off and I didn't realize.
That's okay. Don't worry. Would you like to
yes.
continue from
yes,
where you
please.
got to?
Where did I stop? I don't know. If
we got to your second point.
To
know that.
Second point. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
great.
Okay. So I was talking about interpersonal skills at this point, that as a QA lead, there would be conflict between the quality assurance team and the software engineering team. They are usually at loggerheads, if you understand what I mean, because software engineers get defensive and quality assurance team sometimes could be, feedback might be given in a very, in a bad way, in a bad light, or in a derogatory manner. So it's important that communication is done, feedback is given constructively and not destructively. Also, it's important that in terms of conflicts, as a QA lead, you must be able to manage conflicts between the two teams, and where there are any technical gaps between both teams, there has to be some form of compromise. There has to be a middle point. You need to come to a conclusion on how to resolve whatever the issues might be. So the last thing I was going to talk about is give room for growth. So in a quality assurance team, there would be people with different backgrounds, different experiences, from you might have come from different with different perspectives, really. So it's good as a quality assurance team to actually give room for growth, allow people to work and make mistakes. It's important that they make mistakes and learn from their mistakes. It's also good that you create a healthy competition among quality assurance team members. So people with people that form the team you could create competition to take certification courses, certification classes, conferences, participation in conferences and all. It's just something to spur them on, to take more challenges. And then also in terms of their growth, it's as a quality assurance lead, you would need to teach, coach, mentor, share knowledge with them, ensure that they are not left hanging. A lot of people talk about leadership style, so the leadership style for a QA team lead should actually be one that you're able to bring up people from where they are, bring them up to where you expect them to be, to the quality or the kind of person you would expect them to be. So in conclusion, this data is from the Consortium of Information and Software Quality, which indicates the cost or failed projects and errors in projects that have been pushed to production, which for some reason was due to poor quality assurance. So for any organization to have an effective quality assurance program, it's important that the QA lead ensures that the three things I've mentioned are in place, and it would give rise to a better quality assurance process and better solutions pushed out. So that'll be all. If you have questions, I'll be happy to take them now.
Excellent. I'm so pleased we got to hear your whole talk, BC. Thank you so much for being able to come back and chat again. That was great. Does anybody have any questions? No, I love this. I love that there are questions, but I also love when it's obviously clear enough what you've said that we don't need to ask anything to know more. That's excellent. Again, if you do want to know more, I'm sure BC will be happy to chat to you and get in touch. That's absolutely fine. So all that is left for me to say is thank you so much to each of our speakers today. And thank you to everybody who was able to join us physically. If you weren't able and you're watching the recording, I hope you've really enjoyed the talks today, and we look forward to seeing you at our next event. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you soon. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. I can't chuck you out, BC. I'm sorry. It's all right. Carly's going to help me sort my video. Hey, there we go. Let me just